Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Lisa, and in this video I'm going to show you how I've drawn this gorgeous brown bat. I've used two different sorts of pencils to complete this piece. They are Faber Castell Polychromos pencils and also the Prisma Premier pencils. I'll put a list in the description below of the colours that I've used so you can have a look. And if you do complete a bat like this or something similar, please do let me know in the comments below if any of these tips have helped today. And if you'd like to tag me on Insta, I would love to see what you're working on. So remember to like and subscribe if you like this video for more tutorials to come in the future. And let's get started drawing the bat. So to start with, I did work on this piece right side up. So when I was looking at the image upside down, it was very confusing and it does your head in a little bit. So I did turn it upside down to work on it so he's facing the right way for me. So to start with, I went in and outlined the eyes with the dark sepia pencil from the Polychromos. I worked on both of the eyes pretty much at the same time. So one of the main things that I needed to do was make sure I preserve the highlight. So I went in with my white waxy pencil, which is the Holbein soft white, and put down a wax resist. And then just went in with the beige colours and the brown colours and started to build up the colours. I put in a bit of sky blue in the highlight just to give it a bit of a blue tint, and then just go in and start to darken up each of the areas. Because the eyes are so small on this, it sort of doesn't look like it's coming together and they do look very odd. So when I completed the eyes, I was like, oh, I don't know if this is working out. But you just need to trust the process, and once I started to put in the fur around the face, it all starts to come together and it looks a little bit better. So when you're working on small details like this, it's really important to make sure you have a really sharp point with your pencil. I did use my sanding block quite often to make sure I have a really sharp point. And then when I started the fur around the face, I went in with the beige from the Prisma and then build up with the violet colours, added in some sky blue, and then go in with the dark sepia, dark indigo, and I put a little bit of black sort of around the eyes and in some of the smaller details, but I didn't really use much of it through the fur. Moving on to the nose, I first went in with the dark sepia and made sure that I put in all of the darker areas, and then go in with the white pencil and put a wax resist in the highlights of the nose to make sure they stay nice and bright. Then you can go over with some of the sky blue and start to darken it up. And then it's just a matter of going in with the purple and blue tones and just building up the colours and getting in the shadows in all of the places on the nose and around the face to make it look like it's a 3D effect and as shadows in the eyes and around the face. So when the face was completed and most of the features were in, this is when you can step back and have a look at the values and make sure that everything's matching and all the shadows are in there. Next, I moved on to the body of the bat. So I started with different sections. So I started on the left-hand side doing the wing. And when completing pieces like this, I sort of just break it down into different shapes and do different sections at a time. So I started on the left-hand side doing the little wing, put in the darker tones to get the shape, then put in the light and the mid-tones, and then went in with the darker tones. And then I also used my Finesse blender pen just to blend all of the colours together to make sure it's very dark and you're not seeing any of the tooth of the paper showing through. And so as I went down, again, I just broke it up into sections, going in with the darker pencil to get the shape that I want, so that if I do go in with the lighter colours, I don't lose the graphite lines and the shape that I need. So then I went in with the mid-tones and then start to darken it up, and then go in with the darker tones, and then I go in with my Finesse blender pen, or in this case I use some of the Zest pencil blend with a paintbrush to get the smooth texture of the wings. So we'll break it down into more detail about how I completed this section in real time. So first of all, I went in with the light tones, the mid-tones, and then the darker tones, and lightly glaze and shade in the colours to get the shapes that I want, ready for it to be blended. Alright, so what we're going to do now is just blend all of this, and I'm going to use the Zest blending sponge, and it's got liquid in it. I also bought a refilling bottle as well, so you can just pour some in, top it all up, And I'm just going to use sort of a thin sort of brush, not too big but not too small either. And I've got my bit of paper here that I can wipe off the excess to go in between. So what I do is just go in, I usually go around the side because it's a bit more juicier there, and then sort of wash it off. And we'll start with the sort of lighter sections and start to like blend down. You don't want to sort of rub it or anything, and you don't want to go over too many times in certain sections. And it just sort of blends it all together. You can get off the excess, go again. Nice and carefully. And then when you go into the darker areas, it will sort of start to transfer over. So I'm trying to now not go into the lighter areas too much, otherwise it'll bring it all over. Wipe it off. Just all blends it together really nicely. It's good to even sort of practice on a little bit of paper or on a piece that you know, you don't mind practicing with. And you can see it just sort of makes it blurry, makes it all blend in a little bit better. Darker section, nice and softly. Blend it all through. So I've done the same thing for this section up the top, but then I've gone over again with more colour pencil. So then once this dries, it will dry as if there's sort of no colour on the page. So then I can go back over with more colour pencil. Make sure it's all nicely blended. Beautiful. So make sure to cover it back up because it does, like it's a bit smelly and there are kind of fumes and that, so you don't want to be smelling it in for too long. Then I'll wipe off the excess and that's it. So what I'll do next is wait probably like 10 or 15 minutes for it to dry a little bit, and then I can go back over with the same colours. So at the moment I'm using the sky blue of the Polychromos and the dark sepia and the Caput Mortem violet, and in the Prisma colours I'm using the violet and the beige, and I'll start adding in a little bit of the brown, dark brown, and maybe of the sienna brown as well. Yeah, so now we can get it all, now it's all blended, we can start to add in all of those like details, and I can go in especially in the lighter bits back over with the white. I need to sharpen it up a bit and that will really give it the dimension and shadows that it needs. So once it was dry, I then went in and started to add in more of the darker colours, and also going over again with the sky blue and the violet colour to mix them together to get sort of a grey tone and put in more of the highlights and the shadows in there. I also used a little bit of the beige colour from the Prisma colour because there was sort of orangey pinky tones in the wing as well. So after I completed this section, I do what I always do, which is leave it overnight or for a couple of days, and then come back with some fresh eyes and make any adjustments that need to happen. So this is the final piece, and I really hope this video has been helpful for you. Please remember to give it a like and subscribe, and let me know what you're working on or if these tips have helped today. And with this print, I'll have some greeting cards made up and on Etsy, so make sure to check them out if you're interested. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.